If I could just have your attention, and I would, at this moment in time, I would like to hand over to Emma for grace. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Caroline Broder. I'm head of the senior school, and I'd like to welcome all the girls and their fathers here this morning, and it's my pleasure to hand over to Emma. Thank you.
All right, please bow your head for grace. Dear Father, thank you very much for the food we have in front of us and for our lovely fathers who are here to spend the morning with us. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Bill Campbell from the Fathers Project Club. This morning I'd like to welcome the head of school, Mr. Crawley, and the leadership team, senior school parents and students. I'd like to also welcome what's her name? Rosie McIntyre. She's going to give you a talk this morning about procrastination. Welcome, Rosie.
Thanks, Bill. How are we all this morning? All fed and watered? Yeah? Fantastic. Can you see this picture up on the screen here? Can everyone see it? Can anyone relate to this? Does anyone avoid taking the rubbish out at their house? Yeah? A bit extreme, this example, but I think you can get it at some underlying level. We all avoid things to a certain degree, right? So what we're going to talk about today is some ways that you can actually overcome the procrastination in lightning speed. So these are 5 tips that I'm going to give you, and so there's some actionable things that you can take away. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to put one of these things in place next time you find yourself not wanting to put the rubbish out. And just to give you a bit of an example, it was quite funny. A friend of mine who's a senior manager in the corporate world, he's also studying law at the moment, and he had an assignment that he needed to get done. And he procrastinated so badly about doing this assignment that he decided it was a much better idea to go and clean the oven. And it's funny how procrastination can actually make us find that domestic bone in our body that we never ever had before. So my first tip is to gamify. So what I mean here is grab yourself a timer and set it for 10 minutes. So whatever the activity is that you are trying to get through, set your watch for 10 minutes and just say to yourself, I am only going to work on this for 10 minutes. Now, who thinks working on something for 10 minutes, that'd be pretty easy, right? Yeah? Can you all agree with that? So set yourself for 10 minutes, that's your level 1, and just say, I'm not going to work on this anymore just for 10 minutes. And what that starts to do unconsciously is that your mind does exactly what it's probably starting to do consciously now, and think, hang on, I can do that, that's only 10 minutes. And so you've already started to overcome that mental barrier that you had there in place, that this thing was too difficult and too big perhaps. So just set yourself for 10 minutes. And then once you will actually find that you'll actually just start to move through that 10-minute barrier, and you'll actually start to find your flow. And then you can take it up a level and go to level 2, maybe set it for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And see how you go with it. Just experiment a little bit with it. But that one's a really simple one that you can use to move forward and to get yourself moving through that task. So the second one is about actually having a bit of a stock take of yourself. Because what tends to happen is, we're all really busy, okay? And I'm sure you can all relate. There's, things you've got to do at work, at home, school commitments, all sorts of things you've got to get through. And sometimes what happens is that we need to identify what else is actually missing in our life. Now, someone who's a really good example of this is Leonardo da Vinci. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Sistine Chapel. Has anyone been there? Yeah? It's a pretty amazing piece of work, isn't it? And I don't know if you know the story, but Leonardo actually used to go walkabout quite a bit. And that made the Vatican a little bit irate, because here he was commissioned to create this masterpiece, and he was off who knows where he was. But what Leonardo recognised was that, that there were other elements of his life and other things that he needed to actually power up his mind so he could be creative and get that Sistine Chapel done. So he was a really good example of understanding that you need to take that time out and understand that there are other elements in your life. Now, for me personally, when I did this, I realised that I wasn't having as much fun as I wanted to, and that I wasn't taking any time out for myself. So now I make it a habit of, maybe watching a funny YouTube video, or even just the simple act of exercising. For me, that means that I've taken that time out for myself and done something, and then that enables me to get on with my day and actually slice through my workload a lot faster. The third tip is to actually work with your flow. Now, who here has heard of a biorhythm? Does anyone know what a biorhythm is? Yeah? So just a very basic understanding for those of you who don't know what it is. It's basically your energy levels through the day. So, it'll go up and down during the day. And I was talking to a few people here this morning actually about, how we're not early birds. So some of you might be early birds and you jump out of bed in the morning and you've gotten 3 hours worth of work done before the rest of us have actually all gotten up and had our cup of coffee and are, relatively out of that zombie mode. And then there's other people who are night owls and, they're really productive in the evening, and that's when they get into their groove. Some of us, though, are somewhere in between. So have a think about where you fit into it. Are you an early bird? Are you a night owl? Are you somewhere in between? And then once you've understood that, what you need to do is, with those things that you're procrastinating over, or even things that are quite complex that you need to tackle, schedule those things in for the time when you're at your peak. Okay? It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? But a lot of us don't actually do it. So schedule those things in for the time that you're at your peak. So if you're an early bird, schedule that in the morning. If you're a night owl, schedule it in the evening. If you're in between, schedule it in for that time that you're at your peak, and you'll find that you'll be able to get through that piece a lot quicker, because what ends up happening is it takes us twice as long to try and do something when we're not at our peak. So just that simple, understanding that little simple concept that a lot of us don't actually apply. So that one's a really good one. The fourth one. Who knows how to eat an elephant here? Yeah? How do you eat an elephant? Exactly. One mouthful at a time. So sometimes we procrastinate over things because they are just too big and we get overwhelmed by the sheer size of it and we don't know where to start. So with this one, it's all about breaking it down into smaller, manageable pieces. So say, for example, you've got a report that you need to get done. Think about all the little moving parts that need to come together to get that report over the line. So, maybe one of the things might be, well, you need to decide on your topic. Another thing might be you need to figure out what the outline is for your report. And then maybe another piece might be identify, okay, well, where are you going to source the information for your report? And so on and so forth. So that you're breaking it down into those smaller pieces, those smaller bite-sized pieces, and you're not as overwhelmed and you're able to move forward with that. Okay? The fifth best way to overcome procrastination is actually just stopping for a moment. Okay? And stopping what you're doing and understanding, why are you doing this activity in the first place? Is it something somebody else wants you to do? How does it align to your end goal? And just to give you an example, a lot of people, are on health kicks, right? Yeah, we know people who, maybe they want to cut out carbs or, dairy and all those kinds of sorts of things. And then they fall off the bandwagon. And the reason they fall off the bandwagon a lot of the time is they've forgotten the reason why they're doing it in the first place. So to give you an example of one client that I worked with, for that person, they wanted to feel energised and be able to keep up with their family and get out and do the things that they hadn't been doing because they lacked the energy. So if they had stayed focused on their end vision about why they were doing that, why were they, making that dietary change, was for that big end goal, it allows you to keep that drive and that passion keep you going and keep you moving forward so that you actually commit to the task at hand. So those are the 5 best ways to overcome procrastination and lightning speed. So they're super simple. I'd like you to have a think about taking one small action today. You know, maybe there's something that you are procrastinating over at the moment, or there's something coming up in the horizon. Think about which one of those 5 techniques you might be able to apply. And because there'll be different scenarios where they apply. So, you know, like there was some where we talked about, you know, looking at the big picture, some of them where you needed to chunk down, so they'll apply in different scenarios. So have a think about which one of those you can use today and start overcoming some of your overwhelm and some of your procrastination today. Now, for those of you who want to delve a little bit deeper into the topic, because obviously overwhelm actually links into our productivity levels, I'm running some free masterclasses next week, so if anyone would like to join me with those, please just come and see me during the breakfast, and I'm more than happy to have a chat with you. But thank you very much. Did anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Yes.
So in regards to the 5 steps, so if you're very guilty of procrastinating, would you recommend just taking like one step at a time, or implementing different steps in different aspects of your life, or just focusing on one?
Yeah, well, not so much steps, are just different ways. So it depends on what you're procrastinating over. So if it was some homework, yeah. So what do you feel about your homework? Why is it that you can't do it?
Probably time-wise, like limited time.
Yeah, okay. So you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed about it all?
Yeah.
So maybe you might want to look at how you can break that homework down into smaller pieces so that you're not feeling so overwhelmed by it, or giving the Gamify one a go and just setting yourself 10 minutes and only just go, I'm only going to do 10 minutes of my homework today and that is it. 10 minutes, that's not much homework, is it? No.
Probably get like a quarter of it now.
Yeah. So, but what you'll find is once you start, that you'll just go past the 10 minutes because you'll have already unconsciously gone, oh yeah, 10 minutes, this is a breeze, I'm going to get this done. And you'll just keep going past that time. And you can just set yourself, you know, maybe 15 minutes next time or 20 minutes and see how you go with that. But just play around with it and just experiment with which one works. You know, maybe you might need to think about, well, is there something else that I'm missing out on in my life that I'm not doing? And if I just spent some time doing that, I'd be a hell of a lot happier and I'd just be able to focus on my homework and get it done. Yeah? You're welcome. Anyone else? Yes?
What's the biggest elephant you've helped someone to eat?
The biggest elephant that I've helped someone to eat would probably have to be their time management ability. Yeah. So someone who has had issues with knowing where to actually focus in the overall scheme of things, and they had a number of IT projects that they had to deliver. So yeah, I helped them through delivering 5 IT projects, help them break it down. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Well, thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
Thanks. On behalf of the Fathers Club and all the parents and daughters here, thank you very much, Rosie. A small note for our family. Year 12. Could the Year 12 girls that volunteered to talk about procrastination please come up?
Alright, hi everyone. I hope you're having a really good morning this morning. I'm gonna start. So when we got asked the question like, what's Dad's law or what's Dad do to procrastinate, I wasn't really sure how to answer it. So I texted him and asked him and I said, so Dad, what do you do when you procrastinate? and he said, Google it. So I wasn't sure what was happening at the moment, so I just went along with it and I was just like, haha, okay, no, seriously, what do you do when you procrastinate? And then I got a Wikipedia link on what you do when you procrastinate. And so I finally realized that he's taken it literally, and so he's shown me what I do when what should I do when I procrastinate. And I was just like, oh, okay. So then I realized I've never actually seen my dad procrastinate before, or if he procrastinates. So that sort of went down the drain a bit. So what I've decided is he actually efficiently procrastinates. So what happens is if he has paperwork or something that he has to do, instead of doing that, he'll go and mow the lawn or something, or do something else to avoid the paperwork. So like, even though most of the time he hasn't stopped very often at procrastination station as much as I have, he is really good and he's really motivating, and it makes me strive to not procrastinate as much as I do. So maybe one day I'll get there.
Procrastination station. We all go there. Shopping is my way to procrastinate instead of doing my homework and assignments. Walking round and round the shops trying to decide on what shoes to purchase. And so then my dad gets a phone call from the school saying Annie hasn't done her work. So here comes my dad and feeds me his good old wise words, laziness is the enemy. So around my house there is always something that needs fixing. When you go to ask my dad to fix something, he will just sit in front of the TV saying, I'll go fix it on the next ad break. The next ad break passes and you ask him again, can you go fix it now? And his response will be, yeah, in a minute, on the next ad break. And the circle just goes round and round. We have a Cadillac sitting in our garage at home and that needed repairing. And so here comes Dad, who's decided to create an autopsy on it about 2 to 3 years ago. And now I'm asking him to fix it in time for our school formal in November. And his response always is, don't stress, it'll be all ready and fixed up. He says, as he sits in front of the TV trying to watch the sport while searching for his next pinball machine project on Gumtree. He's always searching for something that he will procrastinate on fixing, that bloke is. And so right up to this day, this Cadillac of ours still sits in the garage with parts everywhere. Let's be honest here, that Cadillac ain't getting fixed in no time. Laziness is the enemy. I could give you plenty more of his excuses for not mowing the lawn, fixing the pinball machine, the boat, the holes in the ceiling in the bar, and the list goes on, but I only have 1 minute to speak. Is procrastination a form of laziness? I don't know, but I will leave you with the wise words of my father, Clive Bench, laziness is the enemy.
Alrighty. Procrastination. Does my father procrastinate? Yes and no. When I first thought about it, I noticed that my dad rarely, if ever, procrastinates. He gets on top of things rather quickly, which is a quality I admire. But when I casually tried to ask over dinner if he procrastinates, I was met with an answer I wasn't expecting. He simply said, all the time. In shock, I kept asking him questions about it. They were met with one answer about procrastination. Procrastination is not necessarily a bad thing. For example, sometimes my father chooses to play a casual game of frisbee in the office just to lighten the mood. I took from this that the moral of the story was that sometimes you need to procrastinate in order to move on. Sometimes taking a break is beneficial. I can say that every day I learn something new from my father. Thank you, Dad, for all that you do for me. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know.
As we've had 3 topics on procrastination, I'm going to move it on. I just want to say thank you to all you dads for listening to us. I mean, it would be quite hard having a daughter, I think. You know, the mood swings, the boys, that would be pretty tricky. The friendship problems. So I think every girl, come on, give your dad a hug. Oh, come on, give your dad a hug. Can you feel that? That's the love. The love. Okay, so well done. you do. You're a very, very funny person, and you make me laugh all the time. And I can talk to you about anything, which is positive. So thank you very much for that. I hope you all enjoyed your breakfast. Love you, Dad.
Dad, I just wanted to let you know that I love you so much and I'm so grateful to have you as my dad. By far, you are the most influential person in my life. You set your goals high and you accomplish them, no matter how hard or impossible they seem. I know you're always so humble, but you really deserve an award for the things you accomplish. You cook amazing food, even though you love the good chef never cleans his own mess rule. You are incredible on guitar. Some people even say you look like Golden Oldie Billy Ray. And the ability to talk to anyone and everyone, including when you spark up an intriguing conversation with the McDonald's drive-thru worker, asking what light meal they suggest. You work so hard, and I just want you to know that it's very much appreciated. You constantly motivate me to do my best. Thank you for moulding me to be the person that I am today. My morals, character, and anything about me, I owe it all to you. Thank you.
You got me going too. We have the year 11 girls, please, now. And maybe the year 10s, is that all of it? Is that it?
No, 10 and 11, a couple more.
Sorry, I was procrastinating this morning, and I didn't get here in time because of medical emergency. So is that everyone? Now? Coming? Thanks for saving me, please. Once again, another year on stage.
Procrastination is often overlooked as one of life's greatest skills. And to be an effective procrastinator, one must be able to avoid certain responsibilities and situations at the drop of a hat. Something my dad has learned to do with over 20 years of marriage and 16 years of being a father. For those that don't know, on Monday I celebrated my 16th birthday. And naturally I wanted to go get my learners so I could drive. You see, for me, when I picture driving, I see independence and freedom. But for Dad, he sees his daughter in a metal death box on wheels as I attempt to stay between the lines. Anyway, a few days before the test, I thought it might be a good idea to actually sit some practice tests. So here I am, sitting on the lounge being all proactive, when Dad asks what I'm doing. And it was at that point that the afternoon changed. Hogan's Heroes was immediately switched off as Dad laid out some crucial points as to why I don't need to learn how to drive. You see, apparently I have my whole life to learn, so why am I rushing into it? And also, I don't need to learn how to drive because apparently I have nowhere to go and no one to see. So, after passing the test, I wanted to show Dad how well I could drive in a straight line because 15 minutes in a parking lot had given me that talent. So I drive up my street, and when we get to the end, naturally I disregard all road rules and oncoming traffic and reverse back down the street. Meanwhile, Dad's knee is shaking like we're living in Siberia in the dead of winter. Anyway, I know that by Dad procrastinating and trying to prolong the time before the car and I form a lifelong bond, he's only trying to protect me. Driving is dangerous. I mean, when I first got in the car, I'm pretty sure I stalled, and we have an automatic. So, I know that growing up is inevitable, but sometimes it's hard. And if a little procrastination is what gives my dad some peace of mind, well then I'm just grateful that he cares so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eloise. That is, I think, the third year you've saved me from trouble at one of these dad's things. Sorry everyone that I was late, but like life, if you procrastinate, sometimes unexpected happen, and this morning I wasn't procrastinating and had a bit of a diabetes emergency that diverted me from the course of being here, so I apologize for that. But thank you to William, Eloise's lovely dad, for stepping in and taking care of all this stuff, so I appreciate that very much. More importantly, I appreciate the school team for supporting the Father's Project Club, for supporting the teachers and all the girls and parents that are here. Today, on the journey as a transition, the school keeps providing better and better platforms for us to meet as a community and have breakfasts like this, which are more personal than the impersonal lessons in life. So Rosie, for that, we thank you for coming and sharing your time and your morning with us, because you might not be a morning person, so we thank you for that. for all the dads that take the time to come and you put up with this stuff, and sometimes we have great days, sometimes we don't have good ones, putting on events for you. Personally, I really appreciate it because I know the girls appreciate it. So thank you all for coming, and for the girls, have a great day today, and for the teachers, try not to hurt anybody. Thank you very much. Have a good day.